Welcome to another episode of the brand called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a well respected marketing expert and an author from Fort Worth, Texas, USA, Mr. Ely Delaney. Eli, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Eli is an email marketing strategist. He's the creator of the Follow-Up Rockstar System, and is an author of a book titled Marketing Tidbits and another one called Networking Tidbits. So, Eli, let's start by asking you to tell me about your journey and how did you come to be known as the People Whisperer?
That's always a fun one. So my journey started back in 95. I started my first company, web and graphic design agency. Started that out of my dining room by myself, grew it to an office. I had 5 employees, closing 3 to 5 contracts a week on average.
Hmm.
And then I realized like everything seemed cool, except for I realized I really didn't like going to an office and I wasn't a big fan of my employees either. So I burnt the whole thing down and started over
Wow.
and got into the marketing education side. So I was already starting to teach different aspects of marketing to small businesses at the time. And I fell into speaking, fell in love with that, and just went head over heels in that one. Eventually, I narrowed it down to the email marketing stuff, and
Mm.
that's where I kind of really focus now. Because nowadays, you meet somebody who says, "Oh yeah, I'm in marketing." It's like, okay, that's a really wide net. What does that actually mean anymore?
Mm.
And so it's been a lot of fun. It's definitely been a lot of years of a lot of experience, kind of seeing
Yeah,
the internet grow up as much as it has. So, but that's kind of me in a nutshell.
fascinating. And what was the turning point that led you to create the Follow-Up Rockstar System?
Um, to be perfectly honest, it was stuff that we had. So when I started in this side of the business, what actually happened, it was one of those give your clients what they want situations. And so I had already been teaching. I already had courses online. I was doing workshops, all that kind of stuff. And I had people that were coming to us, and I'm like, my normal question is always, so what do you need help with? And they're like, what we really need is we need somebody who is an Infusionsoft expert that can help us out. And I was like, well, I happen to live with somebody who's probably in the top 5% of the world,
Hmm.
who was my partner at the time. And so we ended up having the conversations, and I was a strategist, so I would think of the campaigns of what should happen and how it should talk, which ultimately became my niche, which was the how to communicate part.
Hmm.
And then she did the implementation in the software, and we were doing it behind the scenes for people for quite a while, for a lot of years, when I was like, I really want to, this is not scalable the way I want it to be. I do not want to become an agency. I
Hmm.
had an agency with my web and graphic design agency,
Yeah.
didn't like that so much, didn't want to go down that route. And eventually I was actually in an event in Boston, sitting in the back of the room. Speaker was boring as all get out. And I was just jotting notes in my notebook, and I basically mapped out the Follow-Up Rockstar System and figured out, okay, this is what it's going to look like, and this is how I can teach my frameworks and methodology to others.
Fascinating. And what role has relationship building played in shaping your career and your personal life?
Oh, it's everything. It's everything, because the relationships, like the people that you meet, are going to get you anywhere you want to go. You just have to build the relationships and nurture those and let people know that you're there for them as much as them being there for you.
Mm.
And this is partially what I teach in the process of what I
Hmm.
do. For when I'm teaching my clients, it's like, don't talk to your people like they're an ATM. Talk to them like they're a human being.
Mm.
Build the relationship, have a conversation with them, even in email. If you can write an email that makes you feel that, like, when you get it, you feel like that person just spent the time to stop and take the time to write that email to you,
Mm.
even though in the back of their head they know it's put out to their list, right? But they feel like you wrote it just to them. When you can do that, it starts conversations, and that's where that relationship comes into to building the trust factor. It's like we always hear that phrase, know, like, and trust. Well, those 3 words are there for a specific reason, in a specific order, because you have to get
Mm.
to know somebody before you can start to like them. And then when you like them, eventually you start trusting them. but it goes in that order. I think, like, my running joke is the fact that like doctors and attorneys are the only ones that can get away with skipping the like part. So we
Hmm.
don't really like them too much, but we trust them,
Correct.
but the
Correct.
rest of us have to work for it. So it's all about the
Absolutely.
relationship.
Yeah, great response. And tell me, how different is Eli today from the Eli who first started his entrepreneurial journey?
Oh, totally different. When I started my entrepreneur journey, I didn't know what an entrepreneur was, and I sure as hell couldn't spell it. That's for sure.
Hmm.
I just knew that I loved building websites at the time, and I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed the process of it, and I could get paid for it. And I had worked for multiple other companies, and I realized I was unemployable. And, I think you understand as an entrepreneur, you
Yeah,
understand that we're wired a little different. And,
correct.
I'm like, yeah, one time my boss and I both agreed at the same time that I was unemployable and I should quit. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, we're cool with that. But I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what marketing was. I knew how to
Hmm.
build pretty websites, and that's not marketing in itself, right? Um, Nowadays, how things have changed now. I mean, it's been over 30 years, and the world has changed so much. And I think one of the biggest things that we have to remember, no matter where we are in our entrepreneur journey, is you have to evolve.
Correct.
And so many people don't, and I'm guilty of this. Like when I started winding down my graphic design agency, I really struggled with it because I didn't know what I wanted to do next.
Mm,
And we get stuck in our ways, and that's the detriment.
absolutely.
If you can learn how to evolve or pivot when you need to. I mean, obviously, a couple of years ago we had an issue with this whole, the plague took over the world and we had
Mm,
to all pivot all at once.
yeah,
You have to learn how to do that and
correct.
realize that what your business is today is 100% not what it's going to look like
Mm,
in 3, 5, 10 years. Like nothing like it. It may be a totally different thing. Like right now
correct.
I'm working on a completely different project that has nothing to do
Mm,
with marketing, that I'm working on getting it off the ground right now.
well said. Let's now talk about follow-up, Eli.
Okay.
Why do you think so many entrepreneurs struggle with follow-up?
There's two sides of the scale that actually
Correct.
cause this problem.
Mm,
Number one is the person who says, I don't want to bug them, I don't want to annoy them,
mm,
and so then they don't follow up enough. Or the other side is the person who thinks that they have to make a pitch every time you talk to them,
yeah.
or every time they talk to somebody. And it's usually people run into one of the two sides. Sadly, very few people realize there's a happy medium in the middle.
Mm,
And that's where people struggle, is that so many people, like, they'll come to me, it's like, I don't think I should email that much because I'm going to annoy people. And I'm like, here's the thing is, if you write good emails, they won't care. I know people who literally email every single day, and their audience reads every email that they
yeah.
send to them because
Mm,
they're giving good value.
correct.
That's the key.
Correct.
And then on the flip side, I got people who are, they email me once every 3 months and it's a pitch every time. And I'm like, immediately, I'm like, yeah, no, we're not going to do this anymore. Unsubscribe.
Mm,
So it's not a matter of frequency.
yeah.
And that's where people have the mistake. They don't understand that. It's not frequency, it's the value you provide in the process.
Absolutely. Well said. How do you balance automation? And in today's day of AI and ChatGPT and so many other things, how do you balance
Ah,
AI with keeping communication personal and authentic?
yeah. So it's funny because the AI world has changed so much of how we look at things. But when I got into all this stuff, automation in what it was
Mm,
changing everything. And that was the biggest pushback that I had, especially early on, was
mm,
I don't want to automate things because that's going to be inauthentic and it's not going to be personalized. Um, and the argument that I had to go back with was, you write it and you treat it like you're talking to that person. And when you feel like, okay, I would love to send these 100 people this message, but I don't have that many hours in the day. I
mm,
just can't do it.
Yeah.
And so that's the type of thing where automation comes into play.
Mm.
Nowadays, we're at this risk of with AI, people are letting AI write everything for them and say everything for them. And now they got the chat bots that are going to talk to everybody for them.
Mm.
That's where we're going too far, and like for me, I'm a big fan of put the automation in place and utilize AI and tools that are out there to help you, but not replace you. Because
Mm.
at the end of the day, people buy from who they know, like, and trust. They
Mm.
buy from you. They don't care about the company. They don't care what company you work for or if it's your company or anything. They want to know, can you provide the results and do I like that person? That's
Mm.
it. That's what they're
Mm.
looking for. Now,
Correct.
if you skip that second one, there's 100 other people that can provide the results.
Mm.
So you've
Amazing.
got to still have that one-on-one conversation.
Absolutely. And if someone was to implement only one follow-up strategy from your Rockstar system, what should it be?
Okay. I would say the bring them back. And
Hmm.
this is my most popular campaign. I'll give you the first email. I'll even just give you the script for it. So if you're listening to this, get out your stop, hit pause, and get your piece of paper out. You want to do something to bring them back, reactivate your existing list. Even if you've
Hmm.
been emailing them, but you've been sending them that normal newsletter that's all talking about how amazing you are and what you got for sale and everything. Write a simple email. Looks like you just opened up Google Docs and opened it up, or Gmail and went to send this email. And
Hmm.
the subject line is, I'm such a slacker. And then
Hmm.
you're going to say, I'm sorry, I have not communicated with you the way I should.
Hmm.
I dropped the ball. I know I messed up and I promise to do better.
Wow.
I would love to hear what's new and exciting in your world. And then you
Hmm.
sign it. Don't pitch. Don't be tempted to pitch. Don't stick a little thing in there. Oh, and by the way, I got this for sale, because that's a pitch. Don't do any of that.
Hmm.
Super simple email that you can put out basically saying, I haven't communicated the way I should. I'm
Hmm.
sorry. I want to fix it up. Let's start a conversation. That's what your goal is. I had one client who we did a 3 email campaign, because the whole campaign is 3 emails, but we start with the one. And she sent the email on Monday. Tuesday, she emails me and says, how do we stop the other emails from going out? Because I don't
Hmm.
want those to go, because it was all automated, right? And I just call her because I'm like, oh, what's wrong? I'm like, what happened? What's wrong? She goes, everybody replied. Like, what do you mean everybody replied? She goes, everybody replied.
Wow.
Lo and behold, her calendar was slammed for the rest of the month. And she did over $12,000 in sales by that Friday because of that one single email.
Incredible. What an amazing suggestion or point to bring them back. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Eli, the next few questions are on networking.
Okay.
You are a networking expert. My question is, what are some misconceptions people have about networking? And give me a little bit of your perspective on the digital age, because everyone's only talking of likes and how many people follow me.
Yeah. So, number one, likes and how many people follow you are not networking.
Correct.
Absolutely not. They're not. So, you need to have real conversations with real people. Now,
Hmm.
we live in this world. We have Zoom, so we can have those conversations. I'm having, let's see, I'm looking at my calendar right here. One, two, three, four of those calls today. Okay. So it does, you need to still get out there, have those conversations. But when it comes to networking, whether it's in person or in the virtual world, you need to walk in with what is your real goal, and it's not to sell stuff.
Hmm.
Okay. If your goal is to sell stuff, you're gonna lose, because everybody's gonna see you pitching them and they're gonna get annoyed.
Hmm.
So what I like to do is, whenever I'm networking, I'm looking for, who are my best referral partners? Who
Hmm.
are the people that serve the same clients I do? And are they going to be in the room?
Hmm.
And can I have conversations with them?
Hmm.
And obviously, the conversation in the group setting. So if you're networking virtually or in person, you're not going to go deep in that time, because you got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of conversations.
Yeah.
But then you set up that virtual coffee, I mean, I've been doing virtual coffees back since Skype was created.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody remembers that, and my oldest joke, I used to call it the virtual coffee because I would go get my cup of coffee just like I have right now
Mm-hmm.
and bring it back. So it was just like we were sitting down having
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah.
And then you figure out like how can you build a partnership of some sort with that person. And we're not talking a legal partnership where you're going to go into business together, but you're going to see how can we do something together that I can bring my clients and you can bring your clients together,
Mm-hmm.
and we can basically cross pollinate and help each other out, and
Mm-hmm.
more importantly help our clients out in the process.
Amazing. You teach automation as a way to free up time.
Yes.
How do you ensure it doesn't make relationships feel more robotic?
There's a lot of psychological triggers that go into it, but
Mm,
the number one thing is you can't automate everything.
mm,
I'm a big fan of automate what you can, delegate what you can't, delete all the crap you shouldn't be doing anyway. I call that
mm,
entrepreneur ADD. But that should free you up time to have real conversations.
mm,
So, like, if I send an automated email that says, "Hey, here's a great book that I recommend." Matter of fact, I got one right here. The Go Giver by Bob Burg. One of my
mhm,
favorite books in this world, right? And it goes along the same principles that I work with myself and my clients. And this book, super small, super thin, you can read it in like 3 hours.
mhm,
I think it took me 4 hours, and I'm a slow reader, so this is a book I recommend to everybody about how to give first, come from a place of giving, knowing you're
mm.
going to get it back. Social karma is going to be created, and you don't know when or where. It may not be the same person, but you know you're going to get it back.
Yeah.
And I've recommended that book literally to thousands of people. I always joke about the fact one of these days Bob's going to send me a commission check. I hope I could probably retire off of that. Now, if I send an automated email talking about that, and I can say exactly what I just said to you, the difference is it's just in an email. And then when I finish the email, I'm like, I would like to know, have you read it? And if you haven't, go read it and let me know what you think. Now that person reads the book and they reply back. The automation has now turned into a real one-on-one conversation,
Mm,
and conversations lead to sales. So we're taking the automation to kind of get things moving, because if I were to go through and try to say I want to recommend this book, and if I did that one at a time, I'd never have time to do anything else because there's so
mm,
many people that I meet.
mm.
But if I turn around and put that into an automation process with that goal of them replying back and having a conversation,
Yeah.
those conversations, those replies go to me personally. And so
Mm,
now, like, I don't have an assistant doing any of that. And
yeah.
I don't even have an autoresponder saying, "Hey, we're going to reply Monday through Friday, blah, blah." None of that kind of stuff. No, just goes to my inbox and I reply
Mm,
back.
mm.
And
Great
that's what makes
response.
the
Yeah.
difference.
Great
Thank you.
response. Thank you. Moving on, Eli, you say entrepreneurs can thrive in any economy. What
Yes.
mindset shifts make this possible?
The most important thing in the world, move from, and this is just in life in general, by the way, this has nothing to do with entrepreneurs specifically, but entrepreneurs do it best. Move from a problem focused mindset to a solution focused
Mm,
mindset. The problem exists. Like, whatever happens, the economy shifts, the world blows up, the plague takes over, whatever happens, right?
yeah.
Because that happens all the time. Things
Correct.
happen. Okay.
Correct.
We can't get away from that. But what we can do is deal with how we respond to the thing. And if we sit there and whine and fuss and say, well, we want to wait, we want things back the way they were, chances are it's not going to happen. I remember in 2008 when the crash happened,
Mm,
I had so many business owners that are like, well, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. And I couldn't get them to shift their mindset and their activities
mm,
to deal with the new world the way it was. And I saw so many of them go out of business. However, the ones that did do that, they're like,
mm,
okay, I got to do something different because what I got's not working anymore. What do you got for me? And I would give them suggestions and they implemented them. They might have still struggled, but they made it through. And then when things started cleaning back up, they were skyrocketing. And so you have to come from a solution focused mindset.
Hmm.
My favorite quote in the world, the problem is not the problem is your attitude about the problem.
Hmm.
Um,
Amazing.
any guesses on who that came from?
No.
Captain Jack Sparrow
Okay. Okay.
from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
You'll have time for two more questions.
Yeah.
Um, how can following up for life, as you call it, also bring personal fulfillment beyond business results?
You know, to be perfectly honest, what ends up happening with that is obviously the business part is why we do it to begin with. But
Hmm.
I've had people come out of the woodworks, people that have been on my list for years, sometimes even like decades, and then they come out and start talking to me, and it starts a conversation, and that conversation leads to us getting on a Zoom chat, and maybe they come back as a client, or sometimes they come back and we just start having regular conversations and we
Hmm.
become friends. It's the whole point is building the idea around lifelong, because one thing that I am very big in is I want loyalty and I want to give loyalty.
Hmm.
And so, like with my web and graphic design agency, now that again, I started that back in '95.
Hmm.
We're in 2005 this year, and or 2025 this year, and I finally shut down the hosting side of that company in February of
Hmm.
this year. I had six clients that still hung around, no, five clients, excuse me, five clients that still hung out with me this whole time
Hmm.
that were still paying me. And the majority of those five were ones who'd been with me since the beginning, within the
Hmm.
first year, but they had stayed with me and they paid me every month this whole time. And it was kind of heartbreaking to actually shut that down, but
Hmm.
I'd been at a loss for income on that, because when you pay $150 for a server but you're making $50 in hosting,
Hmm.
the math doesn't work, right? But
Right.
I was just like, no, I'll deal with it later. And like 5 years later, I'm like, all right, I gotta stop this.
Yeah.
And it was funny though, because those people came back to me and they're like, thank you so much for everything you've done all the years, I really appreciate you. And it was heartwarming to know that they had created that loyalty with me, and they felt that I was there for them the whole time, which is, I tried to be.
Hmm.
And that's a cool feeling, when you can go that and you get that loyalty. You can't get that loyalty by selling shady stuff. You
Yeah.
have to be an authentic person, and you have to build the relationships, because today's world, everybody goes for the most people go for the cheap price, because there's no relationship behind it. But if you can build a relationship behind it, you can charge more money and people will happily pay for it,
Hmm.
because they know they trust you.
Hmm.
And that's the important
Well
part.
said. Well said. And my last question for you, Eli, I'm going to come to both your books. What are the key lessons you hope readers take away from your books, Marketing Tidbits and Networking Tidbits?
Yeah. So both books were written to be very easy to read, like simple, independent chapters, meaning you can pick it up, you can flip through it, pick a chapter, read a chapter, and go do the thing.
Hmm.
And so, what I would love for anybody who picks up the books, either one of them, is to get it, go read a chapter, then go do the thing in the chapter, whatever
Hmm.
it tells you to do.
Hmm.
Don't think about sitting down and just reading a book and then sticking it on a shelf and forgetting about it. Every chapter is designed to be actionable. Go do the thing. And I mean, the chapters are 2 to 3 pages max, because I want to keep it super simple, very,
Yeah.
very laser focused.
Yeah.
Go do the thing. So that's the number one thing I want people to get away with, is read it with the intent to take action, because
Hmm.
they're not hard actions, they're little actions, but they
Hmm.
will add up to big differences.
Amazing. Amazing. And on that note, Eli, I just want to say what an amazing conversation this has been with you. Thank you for talking
Thank
to
you.
me about your journey. We covered some very interesting thoughts from you on the follow-up system, on the networking system, and of course on your books.
Well, thank
Thank
you
you for
very
speaking
much.
to me and good luck to you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast. a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.